What's up, everybody? Cinephile Mike here, and today I am joined by filmmaker Eddie Sánchez, writer, director, and editor of the documentary Mexican-American, which recently celebrated its world premiere at the Tribeca Festival and went on to win the Audience Award for Best Documentary. Using decades of family VHS footage, which we're going to talk about, alongside present day interviews, Mexican-American explores the journey of Eddie's parents from Mexico to the United States while examining identity, sacrifice, family, and the complicated realities of pursuing the American dream. Eddie, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today, and congrats on the incredible reception.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And yeah, we're very excited to have been able to win that award.
So clearly, the film connected with the audiences at Tribeca, earning the award. So, what has it meant to you to see viewers respond so strongly to this deeply personal story of yours?
I think well, I mean, it means a lot. It's funny because when you have an initial idea like this, the pervading thought that keeps popping up is like, who cares about your parents, right? Like and I think that that's just true of anybody who's doing something extremely personal. It's the like, do I only care about this because I'm emotionally invested? Will anybody else really like connect with it in any way? And you just kind of have to trust that, other filmmakers have done it, Chantal Ackerman, and it is actually based off of a Martin Scorsese movie called Italian American, so I think it's been very, very lovely seeing it connect in such a universal way. And I've loved all of the stories that folks have like come up to me to share with me about their immigrant experience or that of their parents or their grandparents or folks who just like have never really met somebody with this experience who are like, thank you for sharing that and to opening my eyes to that world. It's been great.
And for your first feature, you had decades of home movies and family memories to work through.
Yeah.
So, as both the director and the editor, how did you even begin the process of organizing this material and discovering the story within?
Oh gosh. So the process I would say really began with, well, first I had to like watch the videos, right? And I had to make sure that would take notes, timestamp every video, and start to write down moments in which I thought there were these like kind of glimpses of poetry or cinematic certain cinematic qualities that I was looking out for, like in the composition of it, because this isn't professional footage. This is just like amateur home videos. And so I really wanted to lead first with like, well, what puzzle pieces can I pull out of here that I can then like rearrange into a film? Um, and as I was doing that, I was also, of course, thinking about the narrative. Like, okay, so what can you make out of this? I have a lot of these influences of mine who like are great in the archival space. I'm thinking of like Adam Curtis in particular, who like really know how to connect like footage that doesn't relate to the story that's being told, but that can add to it either through like juxtaposition or what have you. So, but it wasn't until like the final video out of the like whatever 30 hours that I had that I think the story came together because I won't spoil it, but the last shot in the last scene of the movie is the last shot of that I saw watching. So like I basically worked my way backwards from there.
And in this story, the film asks your parents to really revisit some deeply personal memories and experiences, and not all of them necessarily the most positive, right? I mean, it's life. So how did you approach those conversations and build the trust necessary to tell this story so openly?
Yeah, I think it was I mean, I think we took it very slow. I think at first they were very down because this was actually started out as a short film idea I had with my brother who's a producer on the film, Eben. And it was for a school project. It was essentially to get him into college. It was to just
Mm.
sort of build up his portfolio while he applied to film school. Um and so they were really down to just be as open as possible because they thought they were helping out their sons with school. And I think that first conversation was a little more surface level, and then eventually I did kind of start to ask questions about how they felt about raising us. once I became more of the narrative, I really wanted to address things that have always kind of preoccupied my mind in terms of how I related to my heritage, how I sort of would neglect it for the mainstream, and other harder conversations that I basically told them, this isn't a gotcha. I just want to talk about these things that other families go through to show how normal they are and how we can talk through them. And it was a form of therapy in that way too.
And to that point, as you were revisiting all of this with your parents and alongside your two brothers, were there any revelations or perspectives that genuinely surprised you, or things that you didn't fully understand when you were growing up that you got to see now?
Yeah, totally. I think there is a big it's actually a big point in the film. I had never heard my mom's story of coming to the United States. And she's actually crossed over twice. And both stories are pretty harrowing, I would say. And it was good to get to know just how, and if for those who haven't seen the film, she's a very neat person. She's very tidy and very by the book, a rule follower, And so hearing her story of like crossing the river, basically like endangering her life, and the reason she did it is also what kind of built the foundation of the narrative that I was trying to tell, because it's all steeped in tradition and it's all steeped in my own relationship with my family and my extended family. Um, uh, that to me was the most important discovery, I think, because it shaped the climax of the entire film.
And now that you have completed this first feature and continue to think about planning what you're going to do next, I'm curious, was there anything that you learned working on Mexicanamerican, like a best practice that you're looking forward to taking with you into your next project, and any learning curves or kind of little bumps that you're hoping to sidestep next time?
No, that's a great question. I mean, this was my first time really collaborating with another producer, with a sound designer. I learned a lot about being able to, cohere my vision around the contributions of other collaborators, very significant contributions that really changed my mind often. I think especially because starting out it was just me and my brother, and I was editing it all by myself. So I didn't really have to answer to anybody or incorporate anybody else's process into it. So this was a very important learning curve for me, to be able to collaborate in earnest with people. And I think the biggest thing I had to learn how to do was how to incorporate original score. This was my first time with an original scorer, and I think music is so dangerous. It can really just change a scene completely, or it can start beating you over the head. And I was so happy because I wasn't using temp tracks. I was so happy with how it was already that I was almost like, oh, I feel bad that I hired somebody and I'm not going to use any of their music. But that's just like that was the clearest example of like someone else is bringing something loud to this that I have to learn how to use to my advantage to cohere with everything else.
And actually, at that point, I was debating going back and forth whether to ask, but since you brought up, what were those conversations like to find that right balance so that the score wasn't going to overtake this very important narrative that you were trying to get across?
Yeah, I think that, well, our composers, they're a duo named Nudo from Texas. And the music they make, my producer found them through a mutual friend. The music they make is I would describe it as like experimental, like electronic noise. It's very spooky and very discordant. And I at first was very much like Michael's my producer. I was like, Michael, what do you mean? Like, I know that they sample a lot of like Mexican regional music, and that's what appealed to him.
Right.
But as I was working with them, I essentially had to be like, this isn't The Shining. We gotta be a little more melancholy, bittersweet, love, it's a family picture. But they really knocked it out of the park. But it was even then they wrote such incredible music that I would put it over the scene and I would think to myself like this is different and but I would have to play it over and over for me to get used to it, and now I love it. Now I love the score. But that was one of those scary things where it's just sort of like, am I going to take my gut feeling of like, oh, this is wrong, it changes it?
Mhm.
And I just had to silence that voice and really really try to work with it.
And my final question before I have to let you go, when audiences leave Mexican American, what is something you hope stays with them, whether it's a feeling or a conversation they have with their family or just a question to think about moving forward?
Yeah, I really want audiences, if you don't have a lot of experience with immigration or know anybody that has had that experience, I hope this can be a sort of eye-opening experience because I think that the narratives in the discourse around immigration nationally right now are very reductive, if not outright just dangerous and scary. And so I hope that this movie can reveal to people that the decisions that folks make in relation to coming to this country are never easy, and they're always based on love. I really try to focus on the emotions, not the politics, not the systems. And I hope that on the flip side of that, that anybody that does come from a background like mine then has this as a catalyst for conversation and for catharsis.
Beautifully said. Well, Eddie, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today, and congratulations once again on Mexican American and its incredible reception at Tribeca. For everyone watching, we will include information about the film in the description so that you can keep an eye out for future screening and release information. As always, if you enjoyed this conversation, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe for more filmmaker interviews like this, festival coverage, spoiler-free reviews, including my one of Mexican American, and other award season content. And as always, this is Cinephile Mike reminding you to take a break and watch something new. Eddie, have a great day.
Thanks. You too.